Okay, brilliant. Well, if you haven't joined us for a social media update before, then let me tell you a little bit about what to expect. So, I run these updates once a month. They're completely free to attend. And essentially, it's a way just to gather together all of the key information that you need to know as a social media marketer about what's happening across the platform. So, we talk about new features, we talk about trends, we talk about strategic decisions you might want to make or anything you need to adapt in terms of your social media marketing. And hopefully, I'll just provide a little bit of inspiration because it can be quite a lonely world working in social media, which sounds strange, but often it's just nice to get together and bounce ideas off each other. So if you do want to chat or comment on anything today, then please do use the chat box. I'm keeping an eye on it. And I will be telling you a few ways that you can keep in touch with the wider Avocado social community at the end of today's workshop as well. So if you haven't met me before, then just a little bit about me. My name is Alison. I've worked in the social media industry for about 14 years. I worked out the other day that I actually was launching Tesco's Facebook page in 2010. So that seems like a long time ago now. And actually, I Googled what it looked like when it launched, and it looked totally different to how Facebook looks now, as I'm sure you'd imagine. So I work across a wide range of businesses and organizations and industries, but I have a particular passion for hospitality, food and drink brands as well. So you can see a lot of my experiences there. Although I do work a lot with not-for-profits and business-to-business organizations as well. So if you have any questions that you want to ask me, we usually save about 5-10 minutes at the end where you can ask me anything. So do take advantage of that time. So here are the 8 trends, which I'm going to be talking about today. These are the 8 key things you need to know about social media for August 2023. Can you believe it? We're almost into September now. So I'm going to be talking about a few changes we've seen across TikTok, Instagram, also discussing threads. There's a new feature on LinkedIn I wanted to mention. I also want to talk about AI. Obviously, I think we've spoken about AI pretty much every month this year, but ChatGPT, Midjourney, they are valuable tools that can actually save you a little bit of time as a social media manager. We'll discuss influencers or content creators, as we should now be calling them. And then I wanted to just talk a little bit about your September content and what you've already got planned coming up. So one of the most interesting updates, I think, is what's going on with TikTok and how they are beginning to really rival what's going on with Google as well. So if you're not familiar, TikTok essentially want to become the new search engine that young people are using. And actually, some interesting statistics and data that was released last year now revealed that young people, so that's under the age of 25-year-olds, actually prefer to go to TikTok as a place to start their search journey online. So TikTok search is becoming an incredibly valuable tool online for anyone who is looking to market a product, an event, or any kind of business really, where you feel that young people will be searching for you. So one of the things that has happened this month is TikTok has added a search ad option. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how that's looking and what that involves. But first of all, when TikTok launched this just last week, they actually revealed as well that according to a study that they had carried out, 58% of TikTok users discover new brands and products on the platform, which is 1.5 times more than other platform users. So this screenshot on the right-hand side here is a very familiar site if you use TikTok. The search on TikTok is incredibly powerful. And as you start entering your search query, as you would on Google as well, you can see that it begins to suggest what it is it thinks you're looking for. And interestingly, it was actually around looking for food and drink inspiration or looking for places to eat and drink that Google was specifically looking at this young audience data around. So they found that I can't remember the exact stat now, but a high percentage of 16 to 25-year-olds would prefer to search for restaurants to eat in on TikTok than they would go to Google. Okay, so this is what the new ads look like then. So on TikTok, you can now essentially run an ad that will position itself, that will be placed in the search results. So if somebody is actually creating a search for your product, your services, your business, then you can actually have that sponsored position, which you can see is highlighted there with this kind of example, which is the example TikTok used to announce this. Now, it allows you to purchase these search results ads as an extension of a video ad that you've already bought. So you can't buy these placements as standalone placements within TikTok ads. It's essentially a toggle that you switch on when you're running your video ads on TikTok. If you think about Meta, it's essentially ticking an extra placement. So that's how it currently runs. They've been testing it for a while. They've actually tested it with a number of different brands, including Clinique. So they very much went in for the beauty space when they were testing. And according to their internal tests, 70% of ad groups with the search toggle set as on, and you can see the toggle there in the placement section being switched on, they saw a lower cost per action. So 70% of ad groups saw a lower CPA. Early testers included brands like Clinique, as I've said, who saw a 441% increase in conversion rates. That's huge. 441% increase in conversion rates and a 51% increase in click-through rates. According to TikTok. So it looks like this is certainly a sensible placement to include on your ads, and it doesn't cost any extra if you're running TikTok ads. So if that is part of your strategy at the moment, then I would certainly be including this search toggle in your ads. It's not something I've had a chance to test out yet. I think it's only been live for about a week or so. If anyone is testing it already, then let me know. I'd love to hear the results. But it's definitely something to know about and to certainly be planning, particularly if you are looking to launch some TikTok ads in the near future. And on that note, TikTok ads can perform incredibly well. I think the key to TikTok ads is you do need to create content that is bespoke for TikTok in order to advertise that. It needs to be a video that fits into, the same niches, the same nuances of TikTok. You can't just use an ad that you're running elsewhere and shove it on TikTok. It just doesn't work. So there's lots to explore on the TikTok ads dashboard. So on to our next trend then. And on that note, before I move on from TikTok, one thing I did read today is you can now download any TikTok video without the watermark within the app. So that is now an option, which I think has been a long time coming. People have been requesting that one for a really long time. And there are external apps you can download, like SaveTalk, for example, which allows you to download videos without the watermark. But now TikTok are allowing that to happen natively in the app. So I'm really excited to see that one being rolled out, because it's not very often that I need a video off TikTok with no watermarks on it. But if you were planning to download something and maybe use it for something else as part of your marketing, then that would be useful. Okay, so I wanted to talk about Instagram now, one of my favorite platforms. There are lots of updates going on with Instagram, but I've cherry-picked a few that I think would be really useful for you as community managers to know about. The first one is there has been a new feature which has literally launched in the last couple of days, but they've been testing and experimenting with it for the last few months. This is where you can now share any comment from any public post or reel to your Instagram story. So if you can see a comment that someone has made anywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be on your videos or your posts, but you can take that comment by actually swiping or using the menu option on that comment and clicking the plus button with the circle around it. That basically means you're going to take that comment and make it into a sticker on your Instagram story. Now, this is really, really useful if you've got some brilliant comments on your feed that you want to highlight to other people. If someone's left you a really good review, if someone's written something pretty funny, if someone's asked a question and you want to create a public response to it, maybe it's something like your opening hours, or when's your Christmas menu coming out, or, is this product available in my country? This would be a really good way of responding to that. Now, I don't love the example that Instagram has given here. They've actually put, it's a really random comment, "You are the loaf of my life." What? And then they've put a picture of a cat behind that, but the picture doesn't take up the full screen. So I actually think you could create a much more impactful Instagram story with comments on it. I use a full screen image or video in the background there. So it's up to you to put in whatever you want in the background of that comment. It could be some really high-end photography that you've got. It could even be you filming a video response to the camera. So if somebody has asked a question, "Can I get your product in London?" then you could actually do a video response saying, "Yes, you can, absolutely." And that could be the background of that comment sticker. So keep your eye out for that. As with everything on Instagram, it will be rolling out. So some people will have it, some people might not, but keep an eye on it. And that should be coming pretty soon. The other one that led me to think about is what Instagram call, and this is a bit of a mouthful, Reels visual replies. So Reels visual replies are essentially where someone leaves a comment on your Reels and you respond to that comment with another Reel. So this is something that's very much TikTok behavior. People comment on other people's TikToks, and then you can film a video response to a comment. But I've certainly noticed it being done a lot more on Instagram recently. This feature has actually been live since autumn 2022, so nearly a year, but it kind of went under the radar and not a huge amount of people were using it on Instagram. But I would say in the last couple of months, I've certainly noticed an increase in this. And this kind of content can really help you to improve your engagement rates. It looks like you're listening very closely to your audience. It maybe even encourages more comments, but also it's brilliant for establishing closer relationships with your audience. So you can, respond to requests for videos. If people want to see, shots of things, or if people want to see collaborations, you could make that happen and then use it to respond to a comment to show that you've actually taken on board someone's feedback. So as I said, this is a very popular behavior on TikTok. Let's have a quick look at a couple of examples on TikTok that I've seen recently that I think work really well. So the first is let me just get to the next slide. The first is one of my favorite fast casual brands to follow on TikTok, Meat Burger, which is a vegan burger chain. They are very much a UK brand backed by Lewis Hamilton, but they've also just launched in New York. So interesting to see them spreading. And this is an example of a positive comment that someone had left on their TikTok. It says, "Everything on your menu looks so good. I need to try it." And then they've responded to this comment with another video. So let's see how they've done that.
This is your sign to go to meet.
That was a very short video, and apologies, it was a little bit jumpy there. So I'm actually also just going to check that I am properly sharing my sound as well. There we go. So I'll just play that one more time for anyone that missed it.
This is your sign to go to meet.
Okay, so it's just a really short video. It's got a couple of TikTok specific features in it. So we've got the TikTok voiceover, that kind of robotic Siri voice, which has become such a TikTok trend. The way that you would do that is simply type out some words on a video and then use text to speech, which is a feature which will then read out whatever you've typed in that robotic voice. They've also used a little bit of a hook that, again, is very TikTok specific. This is your sign to ... So it's essentially calling out someone to do a particular behavior. This is your sign to go to Neat Burger. And then they've just used various clips of the menu. So I think that works really well. And then this one, which really caught my eye on the Xbox TikTok. This is, I think, a really clever video because it definitely plays into Xbox's audience's behavior. So gamers will often use the phrase BRB, be right back. And so Xbox have picked up on this and actually created a funny video of a gamer who says they're going to be right back. And this is actually what they got up to.
All right, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Hey, sorry about that. It took a little longer than I thought.
So apologies, the video is a little jumpy. I'm not sure why, but you can see that that video actually started off with a response to a comment as well. So the comment was, I say that, but then take a nap, eat dinner, wander around my house, play pool, then come back after 6 hours. And they've kind of taken that one step further and actually filmed the guy saying, I'll be right back, and then going to Paris and having a selfie by the Eiffel Tower and then flying back. So I just thought that was really clever. That's had 3 million views on TikTok as well. So it's obviously very relatable to TikTok Xbox audience. So definitely, if you haven't tried this one yet, replying to a comment with a video response is a big trend, not just on TikTok, but it looks like it's certainly spilling over onto Instagram Reels as well.
All right, give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
And then this one, hot off the press, this is actually in the social media news this morning. This was posted by the app researcher Alessandro Palazzi, who's interesting to follow because always kind of revealing things about what's going on in the development of Instagram. And Instagram looks like it's going to be offering the option to upload longer reels. So this is something that TikTok did last year. You can create up to 10-minute long TikToks, although it's very, very unheard of. It looks like Reels are thinking about doing the same as well. So 3 minutes and 10 minutes both being tested. I think this does signal that maybe longer form content is on the rise again. And perhaps it's something that we're going to see some interesting case studies around on the build up to maybe Christmas. The big one that made waves last year from TikTok was the Hilton video. So Hilton Hotels uploaded the TikTok 10-minute video, the first one ever. And although, I'm not sure how many people watched it in its entirety, it generated a huge amount of PR. So it's certainly something that I can see some forward-thinking brands having a go at. Whether or not it's going to retain, audience attention, I'm not sure. But it will be interesting to see how people begin to play with that new format once it rolls out. So that's currently just in testing. It's not something that's publicly available for everyone yet. What do you all think about longer form video on Instagram? I'm not sure about it. I think, to be honest, maybe there's only like a few types of video that I would watch for longer. I think the main one would be an interview or some sort of recording of a podcast. But I don't think it's something that I would do much. But who knows? That's just my 2 cents. Okay, so the next trend for you is the EU gets a chronological feed on Instagram. So it feels a bit like Meta have been, not very fair to the EU recently, given that Threads is still not available in the EU to download. A lot of that comes down to law. So because of the European Union's Digital Services Act, there are a lot of limitations that EU-based countries have when using Meta products. But one of the things that Meta has done to, in compliance with the DSA, the Digital Services Act, is offer the chance to switch to a chronological feed. Now, this is the most requested feature on Instagram ever since they switched to an algorithmic-based feed in like 2011 times. So it's interesting that it's something that, has finally happened. But this is really just to comply with the law in Europe, where essentially users have to have control over their experiences on social media apps. Users in Europe will have the option to view stories and reels from just accounts that they follow and in chronological order. Users will also find search results based on only the words they enter, as opposed to algorithmic-based targeted results and recommendations. So it will be interesting to hear from our friends in the EU what that experience is like and how that affects engagement levels as well. So interesting to see that Meta have had to kind of really redesign the app essentially to comply with countries in the EU. Now, one of the things that I was looking at when I was kind of researching today's session is that Meta are really trying to create more transparency and also just to essentially clean up their act as well. So there is this really interesting site within the Meta pages all about transparency. If you want to find it, just search for Meta transparency. And there's quite a lot of useful pieces of information here around how they detect violations, how they enforce, reporting spam, what their policies currently are and how they're changing. Insight into the use of AI. So if you're interested in how Meta is using AI across all of its platforms, there's information there. And also there's information about any big announcements that they make in terms of new tools, new ways in which they are protecting their users, etc. So I hadn't seen this microsite before, and I thought it was quite an interesting one to come from Meta. So if you're interested in that, then do go and have a look. And as I said, all you need to do is search for transparency and Meta. So I spoke about Threads a little bit there. Threads just last week has now launched its web platform. So you can log on to Threads on your desktop. You don't have to be using the app. It's available for some users, but not all. So you can try logging on just on the Threads website. And as you can see, it's pretty basic. There aren't really any features available on web that aren't available in the app. So you can see it here. You've still got your toggles at the top to go to home. You can search for other users, but you can't search for content in posts currently, which is incredibly limiting. You can write a post, you can like a post here and see the post that you've liked, and you can make a few changes to your profile, but not many, to be honest. So there are still some massively important key features missing on Threads. For example, the ability to search for posts, hashtags. So hashtags still don't exist. Trending content. So there's no indication at the moment as to what's trending, what the big topics are. It's really just based on kind of who you're following and what you're seeing. And there's also pretty rubbish cross-posting to Instagram at the moment. You can pretty much share a thread in an Instagram story, and that's it. So interesting to see where they're going to take Threads. I personally think in order to generate a lot of interest and hype, they're going to have to launch a feature that doesn't exist anywhere else. So something unique. Now, the developers at Threads, who I'm following on Threads, say that they do have something up their sleeve, but nothing has been revealed yet. So who knows what they're going to do? But as I'm sure you've all been following in the news, it was the fastest app to reach 150 million downloads, which it did in a week. So it's the fastest growing app of all time. But have they retained their users? No. So according to data, over 70% of the people that have signed up for Threads are no longer using it. So they've had a huge drop off. I personally still like dipping into Threads every few days. I think there's some very funny content on there, like this one from Later Media. And I also think Channel 4 are a great brand to follow. Whether or not it's, groundbreaking, very important content, it's not. A lot of it is just banter and jokes, but it still has this kind of grassroots feel about it, which I really enjoy. There's content on there that people are posting that feels very early days Twitter. In fact, this was a trend which actually was a big meme on Twitter back in the day, where I post from. And people are now posting this on Threads. And actually the way that it displays on Threads is very nice. You can see the original, you can see the new post in that thread very easily, and you can see all the replies underneath. So this is where I post from, is a bit of a trend at the moment. So if you are on Threads, that's definitely something to potentially get involved in. Essentially, it's just posting, a picture of, doesn't necessarily have to be exactly where you post from, but an idea of where you create your social media posts. But as I said, I think in order for Threads to really see success, we need something unique, a new feature, something that's going to wow everyone and bring all the users back. I also am finding on Threads, it is quite a niche group of influencers who seem to be, taking up most of my feed at the moment, rather than a big spread of society. It is, quite tech savvy, or big kind of global or big brands who are using it. I've also noticed a lot of people are just simply cross-posting content to Threads that they're putting elsewhere, which doesn't make it feel that exciting as a platform. I feel like if I'm going to follow you on Threads, I want to see something just a little bit different to what I'm seeing elsewhere. Okay, so one of the other big updates which happened over the last couple of weeks actually is there is a new brand partnerships label on LinkedIn, which feels a little bit surprising. I didn't really think people were doing brand partnerships on LinkedIn, but maybe this is the beginning of something. Maybe LinkedIn influencers and LinkedIn content creators are about to, become incredibly powerful. LinkedIn has seen major growth, particularly since 2020. They have reported on a 50% increase in engagement on the platform. They are nearly at 1 billion users as well, billion members. They're owned by Microsoft, and I think they have also really improved the platform massively over the last few years. It is a really exciting place, I think, to actually engage now. So thanks to Matt Navarra for this one, who is social media industry analyst, and he spotted that you can toggle on a brand partnership when you're creating a post. This is from mobile, so that's why it might look slightly different to what you expect. But when you're updating in the mobile app on LinkedIn, you can see right at the bottom there, it says brand partnership on or off. And this will add a tag to your post where it says brand partnership at the top. So if you are sponsoring, a particular business or individual, or if you've been, incentivized to do a post about something, this is the option. Now, I don't really come across many brand partnerships on LinkedIn at all at the moment, but I actually think it could be a really good opportunity. There are tons of creators on LinkedIn who are creating really useful, insightful posts, lots of kind of behind the scenes content. I think it could be great for, conference speakers. It could be great for, industry leaders, thought leaders. And so being able to be transparent about whether something has been incentivized or even paid for, I think is a nice option there. So maybe that will be a big trend for next year, LinkedIn influencers, who knows? But there is a little bit of information here. So essentially, to label your post as a brand partnership, you just need to start a post at the top of your homepage or in the app. Type the content on your post and then select who you want to share the post with and switch the toggle next to brand partnership. So it's pretty simple stuff. And like I said, I think this maybe reveals some plans of LinkedIn to become, a place for professional creators to actually make a bit of money. One of the other posts, which just today caught my eye, again, this is hot off the press. And this is something I've been discussing with a lot of my clients, actually, the fact that LinkedIn has kind of merged into more of a personal platform where people are more comfortable sharing challenges that they're going through, milestones, health issues, bereavements. There's all kinds of content you now see on LinkedIn, and this is generating huge engagement as well. So this article, which went live in the Washington Post this morning, says after the pandemic blurred the lines between working from home and at work, many employees reprioritize their lives, giving more emphasis to well-being and family. And as a result, workers have become comfortable getting personal on LinkedIn, sharing engagement announcements, fertility journeys, cancer diagnosis, relationship statuses, even when what they cook for dinner. I haven't actually seen any of what people cook for dinner on there. Though many post this content sparingly, which I think is important. Some say it humanizes themselves to their professional network. Others say their stories tie in with lessons that could be applied to businesses. I've seen quite a lot of that. This is what I'm going through in my personal life, or this is what it's like parenting my toddler, and this is how I relate that to my business challenges. While others say that they find the content annoying. So it's definitely a fine line between getting too personal and deep and annoying people to actually creating engaging content that's going to be shared. But yeah, just something to keep an eye out for, and maybe something to trial and test, particularly if you are using LinkedIn from a personal profile and looking to build more awareness there. Okay, so on to the next trend. This is actually one that came off of a webinar I was watching a couple of weeks ago, a webinar from HubSpot. I really like what HubSpot do. I watch quite a lot of their content on YouTube, and their webinars are always really decent. And they were actually talking about AI, as everyone is at the moment, and in particular ChatGPT. And they were just demoing, a few ways that you could use ChatGPT to get some more inspiration for your interest targeting on Facebook. And I thought, hey, that's a great idea. I'm going to give it a go. So I thought I'd just share, this sort of tip. So if you haven't used ChatGPT before, then it is a really valuable tool. But the key is to give it specific enough prompts as well, so that it does really understand what it is you're trying to achieve. So you can see on the top left-hand side here, I wrote, I'm researching interests to target for Facebook ads. I want to target people looking for social media training and consultancy in the UK. I want to find brands, tools, books, movies, places, stores, competitors, apps they're using, events they attend, communities they're part of. So I wrote this into ChatGPT, and you can see ChatGPT came back with, absolutely, here's a breakdown of the information you're seeking to target people interested in social media training consultancy in the UK. And then they've just given me a bunch of ideas of who I could target. So this is something I haven't yet tested to see, are these viable options? Because often we do find that when you put in a brand name or a book or a tool or an event into that detailed interest box in the back end of Meta, sometimes it just doesn't appear, or the right one doesn't appear. But this is certainly a great starting point. So if you are looking to refresh your ads targeting, which I would do as often as you can do. Or maybe you're looking to reach a slightly different audience, then start on ChatGPT, get some ideas. And this is a brilliant place to go and brainstorm. So that is my top tip for you today. I'm wondering as well if anybody is using any other AI for social media at the moment. The one that often gets talked about hand in hand with ChatGPT is Midjourney, which is the image AI tool. So Midjourney will create automatic image content for you. I've seen some pretty interesting cases of how people have used Midjourney. I think the one that sticks out in my mind, which I may have used on an update before, so apologies if you have seen this, is the collab between Patagonia and IKEA. So this is kind of if Patagonia and IKEA came together to create, a sustainable furniture range, this is what it might look like. And this is all designed using Midjourney. So the I think researcher, I'm not quite sure exactly what his job title is. Let's have a look. He's a creative director who came up with this brand collaboration, actually put the prompt into Midjourney. And you can see this is what was created. So Midjourney could be quite interesting for, if you wanted to think about maybe how your brand could, take on latest trends like Barbie, for example, or how your brand might approach doing something a little bit wacky or wild. So again, it's one of those things where you kind of got to have a think about how it might work well, but go to Midjourney, which is free to use, and just start typing in prompts and see what it comes up with. I've seen very much lots of people doing things like, if I were a Lego character, or if I were, a character in Game of Thrones, or if my brand did a collab with ... is quite a nice one to have a look at. And when cultural moments like Barbie come along, then this actually lends itself perfectly to AI. So if you haven't used Midjourney, then again, I would go and have an explore. Midjourney and ChatGPT are very much tools that are being talked about a lot at the moment in the world of social media. So the next trend, the penultimate trend, is actually just this week, it was revealed who the highest earning content creators on the internet are. Can anyone guess? Anyone want to guess number one? It's not you, Julian. So I'm going to say it, and I'm sure many of you are already thinking it's, of course, Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast on YouTube, who is Jimmy Donaldson. This was actually looking at activity back in 2021, earned 54 million from YouTube, which is nuts. I think it is really interesting when you have a look at this list, just how dominant YouTube still is in the world of content creators. So YouTube definitely still seems to be the most lucrative for any interested content creator looking to make money. There's only one mention of Instagram and one of TikTok in there, which is very surprising. So you do have to, be pretty committed to creating high quality video content. And also, I think just YouTube pays out the biggest because they have the largest advertising platform. They are the most visited as well of those sites. So they're the second most visited social platform in the world after Facebook. And you don't really get Facebook content creators, do you? So I think here we have it. They are the ones that are paying out the most because they're visited the most. So interesting to see. I'm, really fascinated with the world of content creators, and I definitely think if it's worthwhile, your brand working with content creators specifically to create content, not necessarily for them to rave about you or post about you to a wider audience, but actually just to get that unique content that might cost loads for you to make yourselves. I think digital creators offer such a unique opportunity to have that content made for you in a really innovative way. I then went on to kind of go down a bit of a rabbit hole, looking at this report, which actually shows us, this is in the US, but this is the most common type of content shared by US creators in June. So you can see there that actually it's Instagram feed posts and Instagram stories that are still the most common, slightly, very closely followed by Reels. YouTube videos are actually about halfway down. So, people aren't creating as many YouTube sponsored formats, which means that they're more unique. Perhaps they're, watched more because they are fewer and far between than saturated LinkedIn feed posts. But interesting to see that, Instagram is the most saturated of the feed posts, the post types that you can purchase. Just on that note, I always think if you are working with influencers or digital creators, you need to be really straight with them about what you can expect in terms of what content they are going to produce for you. I've worked with brands that have been burnt before by expecting, an amazing reel to come through, and actually the influencer then just posts a story that lasts for 24 hours. So getting that all clear as crystal can be really, really valuable for your influencer campaigns. Okay, so we're coming up to the final trend of today's session then, and then I'll open the floor to some Q&A if you have any questions. And it's autumn feels. So we are nearing the end of summer, I'm sorry to say it. And if you follow the meteorological calendar, autumn actually starts tomorrow, technically. So expect more of this content to be entering your feeds over the next few weeks. I'm sorry to depress anyone with the rainy London shots. I think it's really interesting. I've been having a quick look at some of the big, coffee brands that create the pumpkin spiced ranges: Starbucks, Krispy Kreme, Tim Hortons, Costa. And actually, a lot of them have already launched their range, launching it earlier than ever this year. So over on Starbucks US, Starbucks Global, you can see that they've pinned 3 very heavily autumnal shots featuring the PSL, the pumpkin spice latte, which is their, most sought after drink every year, on their feed. It's already there. And I was very pleased to see that they'd aligned that very nicely with an Instagram highlight, fall faves. Already, it's not even September yet. So very much ahead of the curve. And on that note, I think, you can start planning your September content as soon as possible. Think pumpkins, think, autumn leaves, think Halloween as well. Just around the corner, these things will be creeping up on us. Also, I've been talking to a couple of clients over the last week about Christmas. I'm sorry to say it, but if you have got events or things that need to be booked ahead for Christmas, then definitely September is the time to, make those initial posts. So that's when a lot of the advent calendar posts will be going live around, purchasing your luxury advent calendars. I think we're going to see a lot of the, top products to buy for this Christmas lists being released as well. John Lewis has already released theirs, by the way. And also we do tend to see a lot of, Christmas bookings, Christmas menus, Christmas events, content, already going live, sort of last week of August, first week of September, as everyone gets in the kind of back to school mode. I thought this was a funny video, which I will end on, which are my favorite TikTok dancers, Cost and Maya. So if you don't already follow them, do go and have a look. And they've been workshopping some dance moves for fall.
And you don't stop, and you don't stop, and you don't stop. And you don't stop, and you don't stop, and you don't stop. And you don't stop, and you don't stop, and you don't stop. And you don't stop, and you don't stop, and you don't stop.
Okay, I love when they end with too soon. So I think that's a good one to always, align your content with. If you're feeling like maybe it is a bit early to mention Christmas, just get that conversation going. Some people love it and, don't mind at all if you want to talk about things ahead of time, but others are a bit more passionate about us not talking about Christmas already. So apologies for the jumpiness of some of the videos today. I'm not quite sure why that's happening. I'm going to blame the rain, but I will post all of those videos to the Facebook group, which I run, which I'm going to pop the link to in the chat in just a moment. So if you haven't already joined our free Facebook group, then you can do as a way to keep in touch, ask questions, and just keep on top of any new social media trends. This is the group. It's called the Social Media Hub. I'll pop the link in the chat now, so you can all come and join that. Like I said, totally free to join. Also, if you want to get signed up to our next monthly webinar, then you can do already. Bookings are open for that. They're available on our website. So if you just head to avocadosocial.com, where you can sign up for free via Eventbrite, I would recommend booking early because we do limit the guest list to 150 people, and we do close that for bookings a couple of days ahead of the event. So that will be in September, in the last week of September. So do go and have a look at that. It's always the last Thursday of the month. And then always, if you have any social media questions or you need some support or you want to just talk to us about what we offer at Avocado Social, we offer monthly support for a lot of our members, which it comes in the form of a consultancy call and ongoing email support. We also run social media training events, and also we write strategies for our clients as well. So do get in touch. We'd be happy to hear from you.